Something's they're up to something. I know they are.
Okay, Twitch.
Those chickens are up to something.
But
that's an old school
OMG
reference.
bringing us back to it is bringing us back to the draft. Go towards the Wukong. I think it makes a lot of sense. Strongest jungle up on patch right now, and EDG. Would they just go towards the Sejuani with that in mind, right? They've got the Aphelios. Do they want to snap up the support matchup? However, I think those are the things obviously going through their head right now. Will they make the same decision that OMG made and just kind of let that one slip through, potentially considering the Annie as a early lock-in again? FoFo had a lot of very strong engages, but of course we saw how the rest of the game ended up playing out. OMG now with the option of matching either the mid lane, because this is where the Annie is most likely going, the top side, or just snapping in the Rakan because they got the Wukong. I think options are plenty for them, and they will go for that latter with the Rakan.
I mean, yeah, going for the Rakan, Ppgod having great engages, and with something not as mobile on the other side of this as the Zeri. You have got the Aphelios this time around. He's going to be so much more reliant on things like the Gale Force cooldowns, the flashes, and if he goes with the cleanse as well. Do you want to make notes? Ala has played the Kennen 5 times this year and is 5-0 on the pick. Actually on a bit of a 7-game win streak professionally, if you include 2022 regional finals as well. So definitely something he is able to 100% take over a game on. And now we start to see that EDG are kind of like focusing in and saying, making sure that this Kennen has a good time. We have seen it a couple of times where the Malphite just randomly decides they're going to solo kill and ult in on the Kennen, so getting that one off the board. Whereas the other side of this one here, OMG recognizing, look, we got the Wukong this time around. We don't need the Lee Sin to be able to kind of out-skirmish him, so we're going to take that off the board as well.
Yeah, I like the call there from EDG to remove away the Malphite, because Malphite, 1, also kind of makes Aphelios' life hell, but 2, in the isolated lane against Kennen, I think it was the Shy... The big problem one was the Shy into Invincible over on NIP, where he just solo killed him. And that's when you really get the idea that Malphite doesn't really care about that Kennen matchup so much if he just goes the Q harass build. OMG, though, seeing that Kennen are going to lock in the Sion and just kind of go, all right, we've got Rakan, we've got Wukong, we've got Zeri, we're just going to front to back it. Will EDG do something funky, or are they just hovering the Fiora as a bit of a call out? It seems like the latter. And Viego being hovered, and mentioned the Viego as a potential option for Ahri in the last game just because skirmishing seemed to be the memo. But with Lee Sin removed away and EDG seemingly not wanting to snap up the Sejuani as another engage tool, they want a little bit more frontal damage, potential for resets in the team fight. They will go towards this Viego. And now I also suspect probably more engage to be stacked on top of this. Leona, Nautilus again for Meiko. Whichever one floats their boat. I think point and click, really, really solid if you want to lock down Abel. Also, actually just considering going towards this Lulu just for the sake of having Lulu Aphelios and what that enchanter can bring to buff up what is the 200 years king himself.
Yeah, kind of buffing him up and keeping him relevant as such. It's always very hard to burst out in Aphelios, and just works out exceptionally well. I will say Creme had an exceptional game into the Annie on the Ahri. Gonna go for the exact same thing. Came out like 30-40 CS above his opposite number in that first game. Was able to have much more impact, it felt, with those charms. And honestly, Creme, it's such an interesting one. I think I saw a tweet a while ago where it was just kind of like, OMG are such a curious team. You either ban out Shanji's BS or you and deal with Creme's BS, or the other way around. You cannot choose both. You have to deal with one BS or the other. And it really does feel like that. Yes, you see a lot of bans towards Shanji here in this draft, but Creme is just as effective, if not, you know, kind of more dangerous than when he gets his picks.
Yeah, and I think that just tried to index into a lot of things here for EDG. We'll see how things get going. So I think for OMG, it's a lot more straightforward, and the direction is straight. It's a front-to-back composition a lot of the times, and we've seen how strong Ppgod was at finding those engages in the first place.
Jaio's Roar, we are into the Rift for game number 2. OMG with the 1-0 advantage. I was trying to see what that sign said. It was like EDG game 1 2 3 tick tick tick. They had underneath it game 1 2 3 4 X tick 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 tick. So just gotta, you know, change your expectations when coming into these things. Sometimes you gotta, you know, kind of bring it up, as we do have the Viego. And I do like that you bring up the way these compositions work, because it does feel like sometimes when we're talking about teams and how good / bad they are, and you know, compositions, how they function and stuff like that, a lot of the time it does come down to which comp is easier to execute, which comp has a lot easier time of making things happen. And I got to admit, but you know, I'm right there with you. You look at the pure, simple, you know, point and click engage almost coming out here from OMG. It's going to be hard for EDG to really find those, you know, god tier flank angles. They will be god tier if they find them, but you know, the miracles are called miracles for a reason.
And I mean, to back up that point, I will kind of mention that for the most part, EDG's engages were fairly solid in game number 1. So it's not like I'm concerned that they won't find them. I just feel that OMG as a team are much more likely to be ready for it in this game number 2. And I think just kind of, again, acknowledging the overall learning and growth curve of OMG as a team, I suspect they'll be playing around these flank ankles massively because, I mean, they've got one of the best Kennen players in the league on their team in Shanji. I'm sure he'll be calling out where Ala will be looking to attack from plenty.
Curious to see what these early jungle paths kind of go for as well. The Viego has been kind of sneaking its way back into meta. It's not as common as such because the Vi and the Wukong just give you such easy point and click engage as such, but definitely can have plenty of impact alongside, you know, some things like that. Because guess what? You know what's really good into team fights? Sion. So you can kill him, steal him, and get yourself an opportunity to maybe go for, you know, a bit of a, you know, kind of a trade back if you can. But that's the thing, though, with the Viego. If you don't get those resets, if you don't find yourself those opportunities, you will struggle to have a massive impact in these fights.
Yeah, you definitely will. It's always about first punch with Viego. Very similarly to Ahri as well. So first kill is going to be crucial in terms of who wins the skirmishes, especially when those two champs are taking part in the same fight. As both these junglers collapsing down towards the bottom side, but I think it's more about just covering for each other, thinking that either side is going to be at this party. Difference between them really is that Jiejie has gone for a full clear, whereas Ahri has only got 5 camps. So the skull is going to go over to Jiejie. Jiejie will likely be able to pick up double skull, and that'll feel good for him in terms of the jungle start.
We've seen so many times in this bot lane meta, it is all about those early kind of moments in the game where teams can get themselves a early kill, early summoner, and we saw it against, you know, for top esports versus OMG as well, where so many times Jackie was losing out on summoners, not really finding himself an opportunity to get the tempo back, really falling behind in that sense of the game. So junglers definitely paying their respects, definitely due a little bit more there. And look, it's going to be pretty much the same kind of setup, I imagine, coming into this one as it was in game number 1. It is going to be EDG coming out with a little bit of early advantages, getting themselves, you know, decent leads. I will say FoFo doing a much better, having a much better time of it this time around, you would imagine, into the Annie. Did definitely fall a little bit too far behind for my liking in game number 1. And Creme has already had to blow an early teleport just to try and cover that lane as well.
Yeah, exactly. I think very mirrored to game number 1, where Creme did take the first reset, but then after around level 4, level 5, it started being Ahri favored. And we'll see how the trades go, because it's FoFo picking up boots, so a little more movement, cooldown reduction, right? But for Creme, a little more raw damage, just coming back with the dark. So it's not a lot of AP, but definitely enough to tilt the scale just a bit more in Creme's favor. Shouldn't see too much action, I think, in the early game. I think it's kind of important to mention, though, you know, maybe I'm trying to cast the cursor here, but generally there's not a lot of setup in every lane, besides here, where there's going to be action.
There's going to be a hell of a lot of action. Get the polymorph to stop any kind of escape. First blood goes over to Jiejie. Did have to flash for it, but you'll definitely take that as EDG.
You're welcome for the cast the curse, guys. No problem. I'm here all week, but EDG will get the first blood. Really cleans up, super easy. Nothing to really talk about, but now the response definitely still present for OMG. They know this dragon's going on, and they're all on the blast code. So, they're going to wait for leave?
Oh, they thought they could wait for leave. They're going to go over now. They're going to give over the dragon. Aki hasn't been found out just yet. Wow. For flash, Abel goes over, cleanse off the exhaust, but can leave survive? He has got the grab at him. They cannot go underneath the tower. Now Aki, kind of in a bad situation right now. Heal gets used by Meiko. There's the decoy coming out here. No flash here for Ppgod, so he's going to have to try and battle dance his way out of this one here. A couple more seconds, and he's dead. Disaster there for OMG. They could have just let it all go. They could have just reset the waves, but they wanted to go for proactive play, and they are punished.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm in two minds about this play. I'll talk about it in a second, just in case there's some shenanigans going on here. But there's so much CS being lost. A couple of plates being shared. Even if it's between 4 members, it's just still more gold going over incrementally between all 4. The wave will eventually be picked up here by Abel and Creme. Tibbers just to irritate Creme on the way out. But I mean, OMG here in this scenario, they've got 2 choices, right? They know Creme dead, coming back from our base, so first move is going to be in FoFo's favor always. Bottom side, 3 versus 1, you try and take down Leave. That's the option they go for. The third one is maybe just try and collapse. You see Leave is on the wave, but obviously you're worried about the collapse from the rest of the team. And this is the play that they decide to go for. Ahri recognizes that he can't catch back up, so he goes back towards the dragon, but the dragon's already dead. It's just a bit all over the place. They can't reach Leave as a 3, and they don't really recognize that as the play starts to unfold. I'm pretty sure they do. Yeah, just a bit of an awkward call. It's one of those things. There's a couple of options on the table. They make the wrong one, and now there's a fight on the top side.
Yeah, flash away by Allah. He has got a blast gun if he wants to try and come back into this, but a flash charm is that Jiejie has nowhere to go. He's trying to run away as best he can. He is getting away pretty significantly, but the W from Creme means they're able to secure that one back in their favor. So, nice little move there from OMG, and this is what they kind of need to do because that bot lane play went so badly. They now need to be proactive.
Yeah, absolutely they do. Nice little pick up onto Jiejie up there in the top side. We'll see what more comes of it. This is red-white. I'm not sure how many chakrams Leave has available. 20 in the chamber right now, so we'll just look to shred away at his tower as Abel was on a bit of a reset, doing his best Ppgod to just interrupt this plate take as much as possible, but I think the second one not quite going to go down, so job accomplished, but still more gold going into the Aphelios' back pocket.
Yeah, 10 CS lead. Couple of plates as well. Honestly, it's probably about 2 full plates, even though there was 4 people bot side. He ended up taking 2.5, I think, with the team, and then 2 by himself or with alongside his AD carry. So probably 2 plates in total is the lead there, and that's significant. That's basically a kill, and he's got a kill as well. So 1,000 of that gold in favor as we have a look at what happened here. Looks like straight up, Jiejie thought he could maybe go for something here, and yeah, just not respecting that Ahri had the roam.
Yep, not respecting that Ahri was first to the plate. It's all over Scuttle, to be honest with you. And,
he got it.
I guess he got it. It's it's a jungler's death, really. But first numbers, and Jiejie gets punished for it. Now, at the very least, he will get the Herald as well. So this is EDG picking up both neutral objectives, which feels quite good for them. And with the bottom tower so low, it does beg the question if whether or not they're going to use it on the bottom side. But Allah, trouble.
Allah does get the Fly-Stick Maelstrom down, but a flash away by Ahri because he knows that damage coming out from Jiejie would be massive. The resets would be detrimental to Shanji as well. We are going to see Creme. Nice little charm. Just a little bit of damage back on the FoFo, saying you went for a roam. You shall be punished for your sins. And it is still EDG very much in control of this early game, much the same as game number 1.
Much the same as game number 1. EDG with this Herald, like I was mentioning before that play unfolded. I'm curious or not whether they're going to use it on this bottom side tower. Just because it's already sat at 1 plate, do you value dropping it just to pick up the tower and get the gold at surface value? Do you want to try and use it in the mid lane to try and regain a little bit of control? Just to take down a couple of plates. And I think it's also worth mentioning, generally EDG's wave clear, their siege potential is not particularly strong. Their collapse and maybe pincer movements onto a tower like that tier 1 can definitely be very strong with Kennen plus Ahri. So maybe trying to drop that tier 1 in the mid lane has a lot more of extra value, but the immediate gold injection of the bottom side is probably what EDG will be thinking about as this dragon approaches in 30 seconds time.
But the call finished up, you would imagine, as well by Leave before that happens. Wonder if he'll have time for reset or not to maybe get his Gale Force, depending on how much gold he comes back into the lane with. But EDG very happy with the way things going. Nicely dodging out a lot of this vision, but it's caught out right there. So they know where Jiejie is. In fairness, they're showing himself on mid lane, so they know what they want to try and do here. Get the push in mid lane, drop down the Rift Tile, get some more gold, get the dragon, get out.
Yeah, I like this. Either one would have been worth it, right? Like we was mentioning, OMG do have some wave clear tools available to them, but whilst not the best, it's more than what EDG have to work with. So dropping that Herald just to get the gold, the priority as well in the mid lane, for them feels like the call because they don't want to break just a 1 plate tower on the bottom side now.
Still no flash.
Yeah, no flash. Has ult on it.
Yeah, looking to try and maybe get onto Shanji.
Shanji.
He's dead. Oh, he
He's
flashes
alive.
away!
He's dead.
but he gets killed off at the end. The Wukong comes in. Aki stopping the retreat, but does mean he ends up taking the kill away from Shanji. That's going to be a trade back of 1-for-1 on that top side while the dragon goes down.
Yeah, Shanji just overestimating how tanky he is and underestimating the damage there. As like you mentioned, the dragon cross-mapped on the bottom side. That was the idea of the play there for Aki. Just looking to find something whilst they lose the dragon. It will be Mountain Dragon this time around as well in this game. No Ocean Soul, but honestly, Mountain, I think with the amount of burst damage, snap, engage potential, bonus resist, feels pretty good on either side. As now more pressure down here on the bottom side. FoFo also has first move. They commit to defend this.
And the quickness as well. They're going to maybe try and jump onto leave here. The Wild Growth comes out to try and stop any kind of real damage. FoFo's coming as well. You got to give up this tower.
Yep, FoFo first move has Tibbers out as well. Seems like he had an exchange with Creme in the mid lane to just keep him there. Creme chunked out, healing up on the pots and the wave. Gonna get a plate for himself as FoFo moved down, so will feel nice to have, but still damage being done. And finally, after the complete unyielding presence on the bottom side from EDG, they will get this tower and Leave is propelled ahead, much like he was in game number 1.
See, the priority right now from OMG does seem to be kind of give up the bot side. They know they can't really contest it as Gale Force does finally get finished up there for Leave, but trying to really put pressure here onto Allah, who's equal on CS, has got a kill up on himself, but relatively speaking, only a couple of 100 gold ahead of his counterpart. And you can see there, Leave miles ahead of anybody else, really carrying a lot of this gold lead for the side of EDG. Able not too far behind. It is only a couple of 100 at this stage. Ppgod realizes that might have been a mistake and goes back crying to his mama.
Steps away. Fun ignite, just to get the teleport back there from Creme. And right now, everyone just congregating in the mid lane as the Herald's up in 90 seconds time, so that'll be the next objective available for these teams to scuffle over. I will say, however, even if OMG go back to base relatively soon and pick up some of their items, I would still favor EDG in these early skirmishes for now. Allah as well, I imagine. Having the Cole, picking up that solo kill, has 2 plates to his name. Probably has gold for an item, at the very least, if not this wave, then the next, if he's not already sitting on it. But OMG, or at the very least Aki, he's on the hunt. Now the issue is, Creme's not here just yet, but he's got Spirit Rush.
He's got Spirit Rush, and there's no stun available for FoFo, and you can see they want to immediately try and take him out. The stopwatch is massive. Can they get the resets on? Does Viego? So far, so good for Jiejie as he tries to just kite this one out. Aki's going to have to give up his life. It's a trade of 1-for-1 in favor. It's an equal trade, but OMG were the ones who instigated it.
Yeah, OMG instigators, 1-for-1. I guess you'll take it for now, but Jiejie getting more gold. He was already kind of far ahead. It's going to feel like a bit of a pain in the backside because, again, we've mentioned how important it is for first kills in these skirmishes, especially with Ahri and Viego on either side. That was a combination you saw a fair amount of last year. It was actually Ahri Viego as a duo, and you know, getting that first pick became so important. If you saw the first kill go over to that duo, then they'll just take over the fight with the Spirit Rush resets alongside the Heartbreaker in this case. Split as we come out of the replay immediately because Leave.
He's looking for more. Abel goes in within melee range, but he's got support from his team now. You can see they're trying to go on the backside of this one. Leave just will not die. And eventually gets taken out. Allah on the back end cleans up the kills. Triple kill for the Kennen. And that was all of OMG looking to make something happen, but Leave just refused to die.
Leave refused to die because he had the Meiko shields, but not only that, on the top side, whilst the dive was going on, Jiejie blocked Shanji's ultimate, so the collapse couldn't properly come through from the side of OMG. Great coordination on all ends from EDG, and now they'll be rewarded with the second Herald as well.
Huge swing in this game. Now 6,000 gold and a Rift Herald at 15.5 minutes. Definitely going to need a replay on that because it looks like it's actually Leave who instigates it, but then just too much of an overstay from OMG means they just can't do anything about the, you know, the kind of the setup.
Yeah, no, exactly. I think Leave steps a little bit too far forward, it seems like. FoFo will just chunk out Aki. It's not lethal damage by any means, but just get a look at this. So yeah, Leave steps too far forward, gets engaged on, but then he's got Lulu shields, all that good stuff. Flash away from the ultimate. But this is what I want to highlight if we get the angle. Look at that on the top left of your screen there. Jiejie just using the Spectral Maw to get in the way of Shanji. Another shield comes down. Graviton root as well to lock down not only Creme, but also Shanji, who was approaching on him. Great angle, honestly, from the observers. Whilst that was going on as well, of course, Shanji decided to murder the backline.
I mean, this could be the straw that breaks the camel's back right now for OMG. EDG very far ahead in this game. Already have 2 dragons as well. This would put them onto soul point. It's a mountain soul as well. Don't have a native tank, but having those extra resistances can be huge. So OMG so far tanking up the dragon there, taking a little bit too much damage, you would imagine, for their liking. Dragon resets. Creme still on a little bit of a flank, but walks any further forward and he will be spotted out now. Jiejie still in the...
They must see him now.
They must see him. They're going to go in. They're going to try and get on top of him, but there's going to be the ultimates down. They're crashing and coming in. Allah just trying to get his lightning storm to go do something, but just can't get the damage out. The 2-for-1 trade, but look at it. Leave. He's on this Aphelios. He doesn't have the red. Oh, not quite able to catch on top of him. They don't get the charm, but they've isolated him away from his team. These chakrams are doing work right now. Creme gets out the perfect stopwatch. Triple kill coming in from Abel. And my God, did OMG need that fight.
Oh, they really did. They really did. If this dragon goes over as well as losing the fight, the game just starts to feel a bit doomed, doesn't it? It starts to feel like you're thinking about a game 3, but it goes their way. The exhaust clutch as well in stopping Allah from having true backline access. Really, really good stuff. And I think just the fact that OMG were able to just put so much damage into what little front line there is available to EDG really pays dividends. As you see, the collapse comes in over the wall from Creme, finds a fair amount of damage onto Jiejie, but crucially as well, forcing the Heartbreaker back, right? That's how you execute a target to get the snowball going. If you have to use that defensively in a team fight, usually it feels quite bad. He dashes back into a whole bunch of damage, and whilst the mix of it is going on, FoFo looks for a Tibbers and just doesn't find anything huge, or looks for an engage rather. He doesn't even have Tibbers to use it on the top side. At this point, it gets a bit dicey with Leave having so many chakrams and good guns. And the seal shots do fly wide. He dodges on a couple of them as well, but eventually it's just 3-1 that he can't out damage.
And look, it is still a 4-for-3 trade. So you don't come out unscathed there as OMG, but it definitely helps stem the bleeding. You get a dragon in your back pocket. That gives you an extra few minutes to get some items up. And most importantly of all, cannot stress this enough, Abel picked up 3 of the kills, but look at the damage. Leave. Just doing so much. And this is why he was the rookie of the split.
And I have to put my hand up and say he dealt 5,000 damage there. He missed his caliber moment. I think he threw out the chakram one. Either or, he could have had a lot more DPS available to him in that team fight. If that one connects, it just barely glides past every member of OMG. So he is still very much a win condition for these guys. And even though he's died, he still has a 150 gold shutdown. That should let you know how strong he was up until that point. Whilst I mentioned that shutdown, it must be mentioned Abel actually does have 2 items, because we've got a little bit of a thrift shopping going on in the inventory of Abel, where he looks like he's kind of mix and match building. Item completion has come through for Abel.
Unsure, does he want an Infinity Edge? Does he want a Zeal item? We'll figure it out later.
So temporarily stronger, right? Because item completions, they change how champions work, and especially in the case of Zeri, Runans plus the electric crash AoE damage, it's a huge spike. So if OMG can utilize that, it'll feel quite good. As in the top side, whilst we saw that bottom side tower dropping, Creme is forced to Spirit Rush away as multiple members from EDG just collapsing on this tier 2. One thing to note as well, apparently objective bounties up on the map, just claimed very briefly before they dropped off too.
I think the big differences we're seeing that that gold VP kind of become apparent is definitely in the jungle and the top. Feels like the Sion is not having the same level of impact. But this is the thing, and we talked about this when we talked about the draft, is that, yes, EDG are ahead. It looks fantastic. They have so much damage, and when it snowballs, it looks amazing. It's not that easy to execute. And we saw how easy it was for OMG to kind of layer up different forms of CC, different people going in to try and engage, making sure they're getting the most out of what they can do. And this is where the game starts to get a little bit, the water gets a little bit muddied for me in terms of how these team fights should go. Because yes, you are 4,000 gold up. You should have the advantage. But if the Zeri has gold and you're not able to get on top of her, that's a different story. That's when we start to question a hell of a lot of how this game is going to go here for EDG.
Yeah, and that's where I kind of worry as well, because I think Jiejie has to walk through so much if he wants to find backline access. And as the jungler, it's, you know, if you're not playing something like Wukong, it feels a little bit awkward to be looking for flank angles on this champion, right? I think realistically, EDG's big condition here is having Arla, I was going to say Shanji, because Kennen and Shanji are so synonymous with one another. But having Arla find Abel in the backside and hopefully lock him in place. I doubt ever kill him because the exhaust is there and Ppgod has been very on point of it so far. But just lock him down and hope that the rest of EDG can catch up. And that's why, at least for me, even though the Lulu pick has paid off dividends already, it saved Leave on multiple occasions, it's why you'd want to see something like Leona, like Nautilus come in just to double down and confirm on that Kennen engage. But for now, EDG, despite that, still have the lead, still have control of the map. And the onus is still on OMG to turtle out this game and keep things playable. Ppgod gets caught out on vision. And it's 4v5 on the map all of a sudden.
4v5, I will say the good thing for OMG is that he will be back just in time before this dragon spawns, but it means they have no real engage to defend this tier 2 in the mid lane. They will end up getting themselves just a little bit of free gold again. It will be traded back on the top side, but tier 2 worth more than tier 1, and I'll
oh boy.
Thinking about maybe going for the gates. There is a Banshees though, so it would take a while to burn through Creme.
I'm going to be honest, I wouldn't like if he goes for it simply because if he used his Ulma, it's not there for the dragon.
Yeah.
So if he had a bit of poke coming out, and I think Arla's kind of recognizing this, or is he? No, he's still looking for the kill. He wants to see if Creme's going to overextend.
I mean, it makes sense. It looks like OMG are just giving up this dragon.
Yeah, seems to be the case. Yeah, OMG don't want no part in this team fight right now. I think just saying we don't feel like we are in the kind of position to really take this 5v5. And I don't blame them at all. So they'll give over this one dragon. It does put EDG on soul point. I mean, OMG, when it comes to making those split-second decisions and playing on edge, in the span of one game, they've already shown that they're capable of making very intelligent decisions. So we'll see how this particular gamble pays off, because it does feel like even an OMG from last game would have considered contesting this at the slightest, but give it over for free this time.
All right, Jamada would come back in. 3 dragons to 1. EDG now 4.5 minutes away from a mountain soul. 4,500 gold ahead. So that gold lead's actually kind of dropped it a little bit. Kennen is absolutely ridiculously huge, but I'm going to be keeping an eye on Ppgod's exhaust to see if that has any kind of major impact. 2 items kind of across the board for most of the carries of both these teams. The big thing is, though, that if we don't get a fight for another 4 minutes, April will have his Navori quick blades. Yes, you will be able to kind of get... Oh, maybe not, actually. It looks like going towards that Bloodthirster rather than anything else. And it looks like EDG recognized this. They don't want to give any more time for the Zeri to scale up. They will take this dragon very, very quickly, but they won't be able to tank it for very long. That's the big difference.
Yeah, there's no... I'll coin the phrase you used earlier. There's no native tank on the side of EDG. So if you commit to a Baron, it's likely Jiejie getting chunked out a fair amount. We'll have Lulu to shield him up on the Baron, right? But losing HP on the Viego, definitely quite valuable. And again, the threat of a potential reset fight starting to happen for Creme, just giving him that extra mobility feels quite threatening. So don't want to flip that just yet. And they'll just continue to slowly try and strangle OMG out from this game via the topside vision. But for now, OMG kind of surviving with enough to just kind of know, all right, we can still take our time. They're still hanging around. As you can see, EDG at freedom to do whatever they want on the map.
That's a Navori quick blades now finish up for Abel. This is, I imagine his next item is going to be a QSS, because does not need to be getting caught out as start to move towards kind of 3rd, 4th items coming in here. A lot of the tides very happy with the way things are going. Both teams very much want to try and control around this Baron pit, but either side starts it, they could burn it down so quickly. OMG have a much easier time just kind of contesting this vision just with the amount of engage options they have for themselves.
Yeah, exactly. I think OMG will always have that threat at this Baron pit, and that's why EDG are so apprehensive about starting it, because you get inside the pit, all it takes is one brief moment, one brief muck up, and all of a sudden you've got Ppgod and Ahri on the back line, chain CC'd up with Leave, and it feels a little bit bad if even the slightest bit of damage finds their way onto those CC targets. So EDG always have to be concerned about it. And there is always the threat of the Kennen, of course, but again, can be neutralized heavily by the exhaust of Ppgod. So a lot of things to just continually track. We're 2 minutes away from the dragon, which I think is just going to continue to be our next potential point where we'll have a contest or a true fight kickoff, because again, the EDG engage is so nuanced, so hard to really get going that they'll never really be the ones to kick off a fight unless it's a misposition from OMG.
Thing is, I know you mentioned that the dragon of a minute for 2 minute time, and you said it, but a minute 40 now. There is no vision for anybody on that bottom half of the map. Nobody has been setting up anything there, and it's because of the amount of pressure that's been putting in onto this top side. They know that if either team gets a couple of seconds free to start this Baron, they'll start it and they'll take it. Void Staff finish up for Ala. That is huge right now coming into this next potential fight. Shanji kind of going in with a little bit of a second-hand shop right now, a bit of a car boot sale, because he's not really finishing up any of these items.
Let's see what he's got, though. Let's see what he's got, because he's going back to base. He's got the Runan, so he's Runan's BF up, BF to Vamp Scepter, so like you said, Abel going towards that Bloodthirst. He's got a red pot, though, and that's going to make up. That's going to make up for the AD difference, actually. So the immediate power will be traded in, and I think that just gives you the mindset. Abel, OMG, they're going to contest the dragon. They won't give up the soul for free. But right now, it's EDG River first. And again, checking into Annie is always going to be scary. Checking into Kennen, same thing. They have to track where that lightning rat is. OMG can very quickly find themselves in a whole bunch of hurt. Sorry.
Absolutely agree. Leave staying in that mid lane just to gain control of it. We'll have red and white very soon. Once he burns through the Inferno ones. Actually losing out a little bit of the red gun power right now, so not ideal situation, but you can see Ahri moving himself around. They don't want just the dragon, they want the fight as well. OMG setting themselves up to really break open this game and potentially break open this series as well. Here we go. Meiko has to flash away. They're going to see Shanji kind of moving in. He flashes back. 2-man stun there from FoFo, but there's no follow-up. Leave has to flash away and keep himself alive as Ahri finds himself on the backside, flashing away from the rest of the team. Now the Heartbreaker comes down. That's going to be Shanji going down. EDG just using this massive gold lead they've got for themselves to overpower the rest of OMG, and OMG cannot get the engage off.
No, not ideal. I think they're just going to give up the soul as well. Shanji, it just feels like Leave oversteps for a second, and he wants to try and either connect with the ultimate or force the flash, but he just goes too far forward. He gets Meiko's flash, and once he gets Meiko's flash, he has to just cancel the channel on the ult, but he just goes that bit further, and because he does that, easy to actually take down, and now EDG, opportunity to get this Baron started.
Smite for Creme.
It's there as well, so it's 2,400 the execution. They can both get in the pit, and they've got vision.
Oh, he goes in, he tries to look for it, stolen! Creme sacrifices his life alongside Ahri, but they get the Baron. Massive win there for OMG to delay the game.
Huge delay, and again, it's just OMG smarter thinking around the Baron. EDG just caught off guard by the amount of smite damage available. They're not thinking potentially about that threshold being at 2.5k. As we go back to the replay of the Mountain Dragon, and this is what I'm talking about, right? Leaf steps up, Shanji wants to punish. The flash comes out, and he just goes a bit too far. Jiejie is also in that pixel brush, and as soon as that lockdown comes in, it's not enough. The engage comes out from Ahri, but there's no follow-up because FoFo finds a 2-man stun on the backside, so no one else can catch up, specifically Ppgod, to maybe get a fight truly going. So Shanji's isolated. Ahri comes back into the pit and they have to just disengage, but this here is just, I don't want to say poor discipline from EDG, but just maybe not recognizing that this double smite is about to come through. And even if Ahri and Creme give over their life, 3 members still have Baron, and it's just another massive delay for the next couple of minutes. And Elder spawns in 4.5 minutes time. That's realistically where OMG are just gonna sit on their hands and wait until. And because we're 30 minutes into the game machine, 5k gold, it doesn't really matter that much, right? As long as the carries, the core carries have equal items, both teams are gonna be happy to just go at it and headbutt each other.
Be huge there. Even with the smite from Jiejie, it was 3,600. That's probably why they weren't expecting such amount of burst, not including any kind of abilities coming in and hitting anybody. An important thing as well, Ala flash back into the pit to try and stop that steal. Loses that summoner from himself. You can see Ahri now on the side trying to see if he can maybe make something work for himself, but massive, massive win there for OMG. Keeps their hopes alive in this game as a Bloodthirster finally gets finished up here for Abel. He's on 4 items. If Abel can just keep himself safe, get that positioning down, which we've seen him do throughout this playoffs, you know, kind of run, this could be huge now. This is becoming down to execution, no longer about that gold lead.
No longer about the gold lead. As so often I feel like it is. Shanji getting chunked down low. Leave is a monster right now. Teleport's coming in. It's not going to be punished. I feel like EDG could have actually tried to hold the ground there. Maybe try and see if they can blow some spells out of Creme, but I'm not going to do that. They just want to commit for this tower on the bottom side, get the tier 2 slowly again. Kind of just keep OMG in base, but they're actually quite a bit here. Tao's going to drop on the bottom side. Rotation's finally coming in from OMG, but it's late.
Creme is so low now after
Shanji's
this. FoFo just keeping everyone else away. Ppgod goes in, gets the charm up. They get away the Kennen. No slicing Maelstrom to come out. They need to kill off this Aphelios, and they have. Jiejie finds himself behind enemy lines, and that is not where you need to be. Ppgod with the insane engage and a helter-skelter from Abel secures themselves 4 kills for 1. OMG, you just cannot count this team out.
You never can, and they're just painting ADG across their own base wall. They're caught up, trying to retreat after taking that tower, but the collapse is actually quite good, even though Shanji dies immediately. It feels like a bit of a repeat of that previous Dragon fight where FoFo holds up multiple members of OMG, but it doesn't really matter because the core member is kind of just caught out in this case, and OMG find 4 members. They're just going to get inhib. They're going to punish with an inhib off the back of that.
Maybe not in here, but definitely the tower.
Yeah, definitely the tower. All right, that's fine.
You got to spend all that gold you got because Jamada, it's an even game.
It's an even game all of a sudden. Shanji comes in with the ultimate, and again, even though he gets shredded, you know, Leave is so powerful at this stage in the game, it doesn't end up mattering. FoFo here, take a look on the bottom side of your screen because he holds up both Aki and the Zeri at the same time. But the crucial thing is that Ppgod again finds a good engage to keep Leave in this mixer, and they're just slaughtered across the wall in their base. And the chase down comes in. Zeri skates over the wall from downtown, collects another kill, and like you said, we're in an even game now.
Even game. Yes, you do have a Mountain Soul, but you don't have a natural tank, a native tank. You don't really build resistances on a hell of a lot of these guys. You're not getting the maximum amount of value from these champions because you're just not building armor, magic resistance. You're mainly just kind of building. Actually, I'm looking at it right now. There's like, what, 2 armor items, and one of them's a pair of ninja tabbies. Like,
it's not ideal. It's not ideal. I will say, however, in contrast to the previous fight, Leave, well, maybe he had some of the spells the last time, but he's definitely got them now. And with the Elder spawning in 45 seconds time, he will hopefully be able to reposition and get away from an engage. Creme will get chunked out here. Likely just go back to base and regenerate that health. But now, OMG, you cannot overstep in this brief moment where you don't have Creme. He doesn't have teleport.
Aki on the flank.
Aki's on the flank.
Haven't spotted him either.
Catch him. Yeah, the Vision Plant's not going to catch him. So he's deep behind enemy lines right now. Does Allah really have the presence of mind to be checking this? He does. It's so insane.
That Mountain Rift is going to work in the favor of EDG, or sorry, of OMG, because just those extra little pockets of vision control they're not going to be able to kind of have in. 8 seconds till the Elder Dragon spawns. This could be it. All or nothing over this. Leave walking very aggressively forward. Does get stunned up a little bit. Has the Gale Force back, and now we can see maybe a little bit of engage coming in. They found out Aki, and Jiejie moves in on top of him. Very scattered right now from the side of OMG. They're going to have Shanji go back to base and TP him back in.
Yeah, they're going to have to. They need him at full HP. Mid lane's being taken up. This dragon is already half HP. Look at FoFo. Look at FoFo.
Don't know exactly where he is. Now they do. He flashes in, but he only gets it onto Creme. Not ideal. Nobody else follows up. The dragon down to 6,000 HP. They're trying to go for this. The electric crash comes down. They jump on the lead. There's going to be the slicing Maelstrom down with Andy and Kennen to lead it in an instant. Abel trying to carry this fight, but look at Leave. He's still alive. He's still ticking, and he's still pumping out damage. Nothing to be done now for the side of OMG. Aki will fall, and the Elder Dragon will be going to EDG.
Yeah, so much AoE damage comes out on the back end on to Abel as he skates forward. And unfortunately, he skates forward into the weighing hands of Jiejie, so he takes the form, and EDG have 2 fed AD carries on their side to clean up that team fight. OMG definitely could have had that one, but Elder goes over, and they should get the Baron. And you'd imagine EDG will look to try and put the finishing touches on this game number 2, but it feels like a mirror image so close to it. To game number 1, where OMG fall behind in the early game but claw their way back in the mid game. But this time, those later stage team fights go the way of EDG.
A real contest coming out here from OMG. Maybe they look to try and get a Q over the wall. I have seen Jamada Tornado steal Barons, so, you know, I'm not going to be super surprised if it does happen. But Creme TP down the bot side just to make sure they could secure it. And actually, the minions took the mid lane inhibitor, so this isn't even the worst situation for OMG. They're not out of it just yet.
Okay, I mean, it's going to play its part in slightly delaying EDG on some shoves. And let's get a look at this team fight as a whole, because FoFo doesn't find the connection onto both Ppgod and Creme. It's just Creme that he finds, but the charm crucially misses, so there's no lockdown onto FoFo. Whilst this is all going on, the backline engage starts up, but Leave is able to flash away from it, and Ppgod doesn't actually find any connection, and at this point, he just opens up with the Caliber and swaps over to the Infernum. It's AoE damage, and like I mentioned in the post breakdown,
Charm.
yeah, again, another charm, but the fact that there's so much AoE damage that gets in up by Abel, he escapes into Jiejie and just gives him the Zeri form.
Got a minute left of Elder Dragon, 2 minutes of Baron. They might look to try and just end the game right here, right now. See how afraid they are. Red, white, let's fight. Leave wants to be carrying himself into an equal game status. It's going to be an immediate cleanse. They look to try and engage onto Leave. They're looking to try and catch him, but Aki cannot make it work. All that goes golden. The Sion is dead. They do kill off the Kennen, but the Rakan is now down 2. Nexus turret number 1 has fallen. They're jumping straight in onto this backside. EDG, they will not be throwing this game away as Jiejie gets a triple, and we're going to a 1-1 scoreline.
Even after game 2, 1-1 apiece, and EDG strike back, and that's a little more reminiscent of the EDG we know. Even if they make a couple of mistakes here and there, they will claw their way back to that victory point. OMG not able to pull off the same shenanigans in game number 2 that they did in game number 1, and I think a lot of it just kind of comes down to just small micro executions. Again, yeah. I just feel like the difference maker really was in that final team fight at the Elder, Ppgod maybe not being able to get the connection onto Leave, and Leave just taking that step back, meaning that there's no chain CC and then potentially more follow-up. I think crucially as well, Creme missing a couple of those charms in that last team fight to also not lock down FoFo, maybe get a reset fight going, just keeps things in the side of EDG. So honestly, that game could have gone either way, and I think no matter how you slice it, it's incredible to see OMG go toe-to-toe, but now we're looking at a best of 3 because it is that 1-on-1 scoreline.